I love you, medium molecule. You're so cool. Big brain. Look at that. Hi. I leveled up. Health, destroyer, and checkpoints. Yes!
You'll use logic to make health go up
and down.
And go down. Oh, Cuthbert. Let's start by going into play mode. See if you can get Connie across that first gap. Oops! Sorry, Connie. I forgot to fix that. Don't worry, though. Even after falling such a long way, Connie's just fine. There's only one problem. There's no way for her to get back up. What we need is for Connie to respawn on a platform if she falls. So that's going to be our next job. First, switch back to edit mode. Remember to rewind time with L3, as we always do after play mode.
Okay.
In order to make Connie respawn, we're going to use a health modifier gadget. We'll use it to make the floor around the platforms lethal. Health modifiers can damage or heal anything that has a health manager. And, as luck would have it, Connie has one built into her logic.
Oh, do you?
Go to the assembly menu. Open it with the square button if it's closed. Select the gadgets menu, the one with the 3 connected squares. You'll find the health modifier in the movers and output section, which is represented by a box with an arrow. Now select the button that has a clockwork heart on it. Your imp will now be equipped with a health modifier gadget. Stamp it somewhere central, near the floor, using R2 or X. Then unequip the gadget with circle. Your scene now has a health modifier, but to make it work as intended, we'll have to tweak it first. We'll do that in the next step.
So you basically told me to kill myself, and then we'll figure out how to not kill ourselves next. Okay, I like that.
Let's go ahead and open the health modifiers tweak menu. Hover over it, hold L1, and press square.
Square? What happens if I hold it?
Here you can set the options for how the health modifier works. That includes how much health is modified, which is shown in the first slider. Right now, it's set to -100. This means it will take 100 health points away from anything it affects. Just enough to make Connie respawn. The modifier mode is set to per hit, so 100 health points will be taken away when anything touches it. But since we want the area around the platforms to be lethal, we need to set the modifier type to zone. Select the zone icon with X now, then go to the Zone Properties tab so we can change its size and shape. The icon is at the top of the menu and looks like a box in a zone.
Okay.
Look for the Zone Shape section of the menu, then select the cube. You can use the zone sliders to make the zone bigger. Be careful not to make it too tall. The respawn zone should be level with the pink lines around the platforms. If you need to, move the health modifier gadget nearer to the floor. When you hover over the edges of the zone, you'll see white arrow gizmos appear. Grabbing these with R2 will let you change the size of the zone. Using those, you can make sure the area around the platforms is covered. Now let's test it in play mode and see what happens. Perfect. If Connie falls off now, she'll just respawn back on the platform. Before we move on, maybe we should do something about this booby-trapped bridge. Switch back to edit mode and rewind time with L3. There. See what's causing it? It's that trigger zone. When Connie activates it, the bridge collapses and there's no way across. If you've finished the first logic tutorial, you'll know that the counter is being used to remember the trigger zone has been activated. If you follow the wires, you'll see there's one connected to each block. These red dots on the blocks are not gadgets. They show that a wire is connected to a setting in the block's tweak menu. Explore the logic for yourself. Or, if you want to move on and get Connie on her way, just delete the trigger zone by pressing triangle over it. That'll prevent any of the logic from activating. Then, once Connie can safely make it to the second platform,
oh
move on
god,
to
that's
the
so
next
cool. So you can add trigger zones in, like, right there too. Damn.
Now's probably a good time to show you how to add checkpoints. When playable characters like Connie activate a checkpoint, the scene remembers their
I love
progress.
learning in this.
So when they respawn, they'll appear at the last checkpoint instead of starting off at the beginning. Go to the assembly menu, then the gadgets menu. If the last section you used is still open, close it by pressing circle over it. Expand the gameplay gear section with X, then select the checkpoint. It's the one that looks like a location marker. There. Now your imp is equipped with a checkpoint gadget. The direction of a checkpoint determines which way a character will face when it respawns. So make sure the front of the gadget, the side with the black outline, is facing the direction you want Connie to face. Remove the gadget from your imp with the circle button, then open the Checkpoints tweak menu. Checkpoints use a detection zone, just like health modifiers. So select the Zone Size tab from the menu. This is set to a sphere by default, but to make sure it can't be missed, let's change it to a cube. You can use the zone size sliders to make the checkpoint cover the width of the platform. Above the gadget, you'll see a white move gizmo. Grab it with R2 to put the activation zone where you want it. Just make sure Connie can't miss it. The white handle shows the direction Connie will face when she respawns. Check that it's pointing the right way. Grab it with R2 if you need to adjust it. Let's close that tweak menu with L1 and circle. Now try it out in play mode to see if the checkpoint remembers your program.
Okay. Checkpoint.
Press. Sorry, Connie. We're gonna have to respawn you again. But it's all in the name of science, I promise. Great, there she is, right at the checkpoint again. When you're ready, go back to edit mode, rewind time, and move on to the next step. This next bridge looks a bit too hot to walk on. But Connie's a tough explorer, and she's always ready for danger. So let's give it a go. Okay, that block's too big for Connie to jump over. Better get her back to safety before it's too late. Let's switch back to edit mode and see how the bridge is damaging Connie. Move closer to the bridge and keep an eye out for any gadgets attached to it. Ah, there's one. A clockwork heart icon, so it's another health modifier. It looks like, instead of using a zone, this one is attached to the bridge. So whenever Connie walks on it, she loses health. If only that block wasn't in the way, she could make it across. But what if the block itself could lose health? We could give it a health manager of its own and see how that works out. Go to the assembly menu, then open the gadgets menu. You may need to close the gameplay gear section if you opened it earlier. Then you can expand the movers and output section. Look for a heart icon, not the clockwork heart this time. Select it with X to give your imp a health manager gadget.
Okay.
Stamp one near the block with R2 or X, then press circle to unequip it from your imp. To make the health manager affect the block, we'll need to attach it. The easiest way to attach gadgets to objects is to use what we call surface snap. Grab the health manager with R2 and hold it over the block. All you have to do to activate surface snap is hold L1 while your imp holds the gadget. This makes it hug the surface of any object you hover over. Now release R2 to attach the gadget to the block. You can also let go of L1 to stop using surface snap. In the next step, I'll show you how to tweak this health manager.
How did you already set yourself up? What did you set yourself into? What's inside you? What is that? What is that?
Now that we've given the block health, let's take a closer look at it. Hover over the health manager, hold L1 and press square to open its tweak menu. The sliders here define the block's maximum and current health. Click R3 to play time, and you'll see the health starts to go down. That's because the bridge's health modifier is damaging it. But you'll notice it's going down much slower than Connie's health was when she was on the bridge. The reason for that is this health manager has a 1-second cooldown. So whenever the block takes damage, it's invulnerable for 1 second after that. Grab the cooldown slider with X and pull it to the left with your imp. So what happens when it reaches 0? Not a lot right now. But we can deal with that in the next step. For now, feel free to experiment with the health manager settings. Start time with R3 to see your changes, then rewind it with L3 to reset the health manager. Once you're done, you can move on to the next step. An object doesn't automatically get destroyed when it runs out of health. So we need to do a bit more work before we can get rid of that block.
Awesome.
Let's take a closer look at its health manager. If its tweak menu is still open, close that first with L1 and circle. See the output ports on its right edge. Hover over the one at the bottom, the one that has a heart with a cross over it. This is the no health output, which sends a signal when the health manager is depleted. It can be used to trigger any number of things, but right now, we're going to use it to destroy the block. Go to the assembly menu and take a look in the gadget section. It may still be open from earlier when you selected the health manager. Look for a skull icon on a button in the movers and output section and select it with X.
Destroyer!
This is the destroyer.
I love that. People might be annoyed by that. I know no one's watching the stream, but in case someone rewatches this and just wants to learn themselves, I love this. I'm not annoyed by that at all because I have short-term memory. If I forget what something does, I don't have to come back here.
Gadget, it destroys whatever it's attached to. To attach it to the block, we can use surface snap. So hover the destroyer over the block, hold L1 to make it surface snap, and press R2 or X to stamp it. Now you can unequip the destroyer gadget with circle. Okay, before we connect it up, let's just see if it works by clicking R3. Oh, it works all right. When time is running, the destroyer activates and destroys the block. Rewind time with L3 to bring it back. Works all right. Okay, before we connect it up, let's just see if it works by clicking R3. Oh, it works all right. When time is running, the destroyer activates and destroys the block.
Cool.
Rewind time with L3 to bring it back. We don't want the destroyer to activate until the block's health has run out. To do that, we'll need to connect the no health output port to the destroyer's power. So hover your imp over the health manager's no health output port and press R2 or X to create a wire. This will make power ports appear on the gadgets in the scene. Stretch the wire over to the destroyer and connect it to the power port with
That's
R2
so cool!
or X. Great! Time to test it again with R3 and see what happens. When the block's health runs out, it will get destroyed, leaving the path clear for Connie. But how do we know how much health the block has left? We could always look at its tweak menu, but you can't see that in play mode. So click L3 to rewind time, and I'll show you how to display health in the next step. If the health manager's tweak menu isn't open already, open it now with L1 and square. When you hover over the menu sliders and buttons, you'll see ports popping out of the side. These work just like the ones on the outside of the gadget, but there are a lot more of them. And you might also have noticed that there's another gadget stamped on the side of the block. That's a number displayer. If we connect a wire from the current health output to the number displayer's input port, we'll be able to see the block's health count down in play mode. So let's go ahead and do that. Hover over the current health slider's output port. Then press R2 or X to create a wire and stretch it to the number displayer. Once you've connected it to its input with R2 or X, you can switch over to play mode and test out the whole scene so far. Excellent. Now we can see the block taking damage until it's destroyed. Once you can get Connie to the next platform, switch back to edit mode and move on to the next step.
Bye-bye! That's so cool! Oh! That's so awesome!
Well, Connie made it through, but she's a bit worse for wear. The burn effect you see on her is triggered by the current health output from her health manager. It gives you a visual cue of her health. The more singed she gets, the less health she has. I'm not sure poor Connie has enough health left to make it across the last bridge. What she needs is a bit of healing, so let's create a healing zone where she can recharge. This green pad looks like a good place to recover. We can turn it into a healing zone by placing a health modifier on it, using Surface Snap.
I knew it.
You've used Surface Snap before, so this should be no problem.
That's so
Go to
awesome!
the assembly menu and select
Sorry, I want to
health
move her.
modifier from the movers and output menu.
I
It's
died?
the one with the clockwork heart on it, remember? Now,
Oh, it straight up kills me!
activate Surface Snap by holding L1. Then attach the health modifier to the green pad. Now you can unequip the gadget with the circle button and open the modifier's tweak menu. We need to change it so it heals Connie. The health modifier is set to -100 by default, which won't do Connie any good. She has 100 health to start with, so that will take it all away and make her respawn. Grab the slider with X, drag it right, and set it to +20. We want the healing zone to heal Connie while she's standing on it, so you also need to set the modifier mode to continuous. You can leave the modifier type as impact, since you've snapped the health modifier to the platform. And that's all there is to it. Close the tweak menu with L1 and circle, and give it a try in play mode. Alright, that should give Connie the health boost she needs to cross that final bridge. Oh, she's been through a lot today, so take her through the door to end this tutorial.
That's so amazing. When you can learn something from a video game, that's amazing. You can't get that, really, out of some games. Amazing! That's awesome! Whoa, damn, there's 12!
Tutorial, I've created a jumping challenge for Connie and Cuthbert. Looks like Cuthbert's feeling confident. Better luck next time, Cuthbert. Let's see how Connie gets on. When Connie jumps on a platform, she'll only have a few seconds to get to the next one before it disappears. But to give the game some replay value, we're going to create some scoring logic. See that microchip on the side of the start platform? Open it up with L1 and X. This is where we'll build the scoring logic. These trigger zones detect when Connie crosses the start and finish lines.
Score logic.
If Connie falls, the health modifier will trigger this global settings gadget to reset the scene. So Connie can try again, and all the platforms will be back in place. It'll be up to you to fill in the rest.
How does that work?
Keeping score in a scene is done using a score gadget. Go to the assembly menu and select Gadgets. Open up Gameplay Gear with X and find the score gadget. It looks like a prize sticker with 100 on it. Make sure you don't grab the score modifier by mistake. Stamp a score gadget onto the microchip next to the finish line trigger zone. Equip the gadget with the circle button. Start the next step when you're ready to start setting up the score gadget. Let's take a look at the score's tweak menu. Open it up with L1 and square. It's a pretty simple gadget. You can rename the gadget by selecting the name at the top. This is really important if you have more than one score in the scene, but we can leave this score with its default name. At the bottom of the tweak menu, find the button with the score icon on it. Hover over it, and you'll see it's called Post Score. When this button receives a signal, it will post the current score. But post it where? Well, if your scene is placed in a dream, the score will be displayed on the scoreboard for that dream. The score for this scene should be posted when Connie crosses the finish line. So let's use the finish line trigger zone to activate it. Create a wire from the detected output port of the finish line trigger zone with R2 or X.
What the
Extend it
hell?
over to the score tweak menu, then connect it to the input of the post score button. Now when Connie crosses the finish line, the current score will be posted. Close the tweak menu with L1 and the circle button. This score gadget is all set. In the next step, I'll show you how you can display the score on screen. It's all well and good being able to post a score, but we also want to be able to see it while we're playing. Well, I have a gadget that can help with that.
Oh,
By
do
adding
ya?
a number displayer to the logic, we can keep a live count of the score. In the
Oh, a
assembly
number
menu,
displayer.
select Gadgets. Close the gameplay gear section with the circle button. The number displayer lives in movers and output.
Got it.
Its icon is a screen with some number. Damp a number displayer to the right of the score gadget. Then unequip it with circle. If you hover your imp over a number displayer gadget, a number appears on the screen. Select the gadget with X and it'll stay there, allowing you to grab and move it with R2. Move the number to where you want the score to display. You can resize the number with the up and down directional buttons. It looks pretty basic right now, but I'll show you how to jazz it up a bit later.
Awesome. Thank you.
First, let's hook it up to the score. Open the score tweak menu with L1 and the square button. Find the button called Current Score, then create a wire from its output port. Extend the wire over to the number displayer. On the left edge, there's a port called Number Range. When you plug a wire into this port, its signal will be displayed as a number. And it still says 0. Well, we haven't added anything to the score yet. But you can test that it's working by increasing the initial score slider in the tweak menu. Check that it's working, then set the initial score back to 0.
Why the hell isn't it
Now
working?
the tweak menu. Check that it's working, then set the initial score back to 0. Now close the score tweak menu. In the next step, we'll make the number displayer look a bit fancier.
What? I did everything you said.
In the tweak menu. In the tweak menu, 0. It's player. On the left edge, there's a port called Number Range. When you plug a wire into this port, its signal will be displayed as a number. And it still says 0. Well, we haven't added anything to the score yet. But you can test that it's working by increasing the initial score slider in the tweak menu. Check that it's working, then set the initial score back to 0.
What? I did everything you said.
In the tweak menu. In the tweak menu, 0. It's player. On the left edge, there's a port called Number Range. When you plug a wire into this port, its signal will be displayed as a number. And it still says 0. Well, we haven't added anything to the score yet. But you can test that it's working by increasing the initial score slider in the tweak menu. Check that it's working, then set the initial score back to 0. Now close the score tweak menu. In the next step, we'll make the number displayer look a bit fancier.
Lady, you showed me the wrong one. But, okay, that's fine.
To change the appearance of your number displayer, you need to tweak it. In the Tweak menu, there's loads of options for tweaking the appearance of the text, box, and border. The first page contains all the text options. At the bottom of the page, you can select the colour, brightness, and opacity of the text. You can also choose a different font for the number. Hover over the font slider and use the up and down directional buttons to change the font. On the other pages, you can tweak the appearance of the text box and border the buttons with the eye icon to hide them. On the other pages, you can tweak the appearance of the text box and border. There's lots of options to experiment with, but I'm actually going to turn off the box, border, and shadow. On each page, just deselect the buttons with the eye icon to hide them. The Tweak menu also has a page for aligning the text. Using these buttons, you can get your text perfectly aligned.
Awesome!
I'm putting my score in the middle, at the top. Have a play around with the settings, then close the Tweak menu when you're happy with the look of your number displayer. We've now got a snazzy looking score display. In the next step, I'll show you how you can add to the score. To make the score go up, we need something for Connie to collect. A prize bubble should do the trick. Prize bubbles are ready-made collectibles you can use in your scenes. Fly over to the first floating platform. Now go to the assembly menu and navigate back to gadgets. Close movers and output with circle, then open up gameplay gear. The prize bubble icon is a gift-wrapped present. Select it with X.
Okay.
Stamp one above the first platform, where Connie can reach it. Then unequip the prize bubble with circle. You can scale the prize bubble with the up and down directional buttons, if you want to make it a bit bigger. Now tweak the prize bubble with L1 and square. In the menu, find the option for Collectible by Imp. It's very important to turn this off. Otherwise, you could collect all the prize bubbles just by depossessing Connie. Now close the Tweak menu with L1 and circle. To make the score go up, we need another gadget, a score modifier. You can find it next to the score gadget in the gameplay gear menu. Select it with X, then stamp one next to the prize bubble. Press circle to remove the gadget from your imp. Then move on to the next step when you're ready to continue. Right, let's take a closer look at the score modifier. Open the score modifier's tweak menu with L1 and square. The score name box shows which score is being modified. Find the slider called Operation Value. It's down at the bottom. The operation value is how much is added or set by this score modifier. Use the up and down directional buttons to set the operation value to 1.0. 1 point for each prize bubble collected. Next, take a look at the options for operation type. These are very important, as they determine how the score is modified. The default option is set. This means that when the score modifier is activated, it will set the score to the operation value. So in our case, it'll set the score to 1, no matter what the score was before it was activated. That's no good for a collectible, so we need to change the operation type to add. Select the button with the plus icon on it. When set to add, the score modifier will add the operation value to the current score. If you want to know what the other operation types do, just hover over them for a few seconds to reveal more info for that button. And that's our score modifier ready to go. We just need to connect it to the prize bubble. We'll do that in the next step. For this next bit, we'll need the tweak menus for the score modifier and the prize bubble. So make sure you've got them both open. Put the prize bubble tweak menu on the left of the screen and the score modifier on the right. In the prize bubble tweak menu, find the button called Just Collected. Its icon is a tick. Create a wire from the Just Collected output port. Extend the wire over to the score modifier and connect it to its power port. Now when this prize bubble is collected, the score modifier will activate and 1 point will be added to the score. Don't take my word for it though. A good dream shaper always tests their work. But we'll need more than one collectible set up to test it properly. Now that we've set up one prize bubble and score modifier, we can clone them onto other platforms. Close both tweak menus, then select the gadgets with X. Now group them by selecting the button in the context menu.
Are you still doing tutorial stuff?
Now you can clone the collectible with L1 and R2. Don't make too many just yet. Just a few to test they're working. Once you've got a few collectibles, switch over to play mode and test the logic so far. Great! The score is keeping count of how many prize bubbles Connie has collected. We can now clone more collectibles in edit mode. If your score isn't increasing, check that your score modifier is connected and that it's adding and not setting the score. When you've finished adding collectibles, move on to the next step. Having a score has really upped the game's replayability. But collecting objects isn't the only way to use a score. With the right logic, we could use a score gadget to record fastest times. If you've closed the score logic microchip, open it up again with L1 and X. First, we'll need a new score, so grab one. To record the time, we can use a timer. Having a score has really upped the game's replayability. For this next bit,
Yeah, but how come everything else doesn't have a score? How did you do it, lady?
for this next bit, we'll need the tweak menus for the score modifier and the prize bubble. So make sure you've got them both open. Put the prize bubble tweak menu on the left of the screen and the score modifier on the right. In the prize bubble tweak menu, find the button called Just Collected. Its icon is a tick. Create a wire from the Just Collected output port. Extend the wire over to the score modifier and connect it to its power port. Now when this prize bubble is collected, the score modifier will activate and 1 point will be added to the score. Don't take my word for it though. A good dream shaper always tests their work. But we'll need more than one collectible set up to test it properly. Now that we've set up one prize bubble and score modifier, we can clone them onto other platforms. Close both tweak menus, then select the gadgets with X. Now group them by selecting the button in the context menu.
That's so cool!
Now you can clone the collectible with L1 and R2. Don't make too many just yet, just a few to test their working. Once you've got a few collectibles, switch over to play mode and test the logic so far. Great! The score is keeping count of how many prize bubbles Connie has collected. We can now clone more collectibles in edit mode. If your score isn't increasing, check that your score modifier is connected and that it's adding and not setting the score. When you've finished adding collectibles, move on to the next step.
That grouping thing looks amazing. It's gonna be so helpful for the future. Oh, one more. This would make it so simple too, so you don't have to keep making modifiers. That's definitely a huge jump from a Little Big Planet. That's so cool. Awesome. Yay! All right.
Having a score has really upped the game's replayability. But collecting objects isn't the only way to use a score. With the right logic, we could use a score gadget to record fastest times. If you've closed the score logic microchip, open it up again with L1 and X. First, we'll need a new score, so grab one from the gameplay gear menu. Stamp it down underneath the first. I'm calling mine Time. Just like with the first score gadget, we also want to post the score at the finish line. So connect the detected output of the finish line to the post score input. As this is going to record time, we also need to tweak the default scoreboard settings. They can be found on the second page of the menu. First, change the score unit to time. We also need to change the scoreboard order. When ranking times, the lowest scores should be at the top. So select the option for lower, then move the tweak menu to one side. To see the time on screen, we'll need another number displayer. But there's no need to set up a new one from scratch. Just clone the one we made earlier. That way the appearance will match. Clone the number displayer with L1 and R2.
Awesome!
Place it next to the time score gadget. To display time, we need to connect the current score to the number displayer input, just like we did before. In the Score Tweak menu, create a wire from the current score output port. Connect the wire to the number range input on the number displayer. Once that's hooked up, you can close the tweak menu of the score and open up the tweak menu for the cloned number displayer.
Oops.
As this number displayer is showing time, we need to tweak it slightly. In display format, select the clock icon to display time.
Okay.
The option Show Milliseconds is now selectable. Turn it on to make the time display even more precise.
Oh, that's so cool.
Use the options on the alignment page of the tweak menu to set the position of the number displayer. The collectible count is in the middle, so how about at the top, on the right? Select the score number displayer with X if you want to preview them on screen together. Looks good. In the next step, we'll create some logic to record the time.
Wow. Cool. So we got a timer.
To record the time, we can use a timer. Go to the assembly menu, then select Gadgets. Close Gameplay Gear, then open Logic and Processing.
Whoops.
The icon for the timer is a clock. Stamp it on the microchip canvas to the right of the start line trigger zone. Leave a bit of space, as we'll also need to add a counter. This will turn the signal from the trigger zone into a constant signal, so it stays on even after Connie has left the trigger zone's detection area. The counter also lives in the Logic and Processing menu. Select it with X and stamp one between the start line and the timer. If you've played our wiring and logic tutorial, you might already know how to connect up the timer and the counter. But here's a reminder in case you've forgotten. Start by creating a wire from the start line trigger zone's detected port. Connect it to the increase count input of the counter. When Connie crosses the start line, the counter will increase and the counter full port will send a constant signal. The counter full output then connects to the start timer input. This simple bit of logic ensures that the timer will keep on ticking until we tell it to stop. In the next step, we'll tweak the timer. Let's take a look at the timer's tweak menu.
So this keeps going, and then this
Open
this
L1
stops.
and square.
So we tell it to.
The timer requires a target time, but we don't want a time limit to complete the scene. So set the target time high enough that the player won't ever reach it. As the platforms disappear after a few seconds, it's impossible for Connie to survive forever. So 120 seconds should be enough time to complete the course. Below the sliders is the timer type. Right now it's set to count up. With this setting selected, the timer will keep counting until it reaches the target time, or until it's turned off. That's no good for recording a fastest time, so change the timer type to the speed setting. Its icon is a curved line. With the speed setting selected, the timer will only count while it's receiving an input signal. This makes it work like a stopwatch and will allow us to record a finish time with it. The timer is all set. Phew, almost there. Who thought logic could be so demanding? Now we just need to record the time as a score. We'll do that in the next step. To record the finish time, we need another score modifier. Go to the assembly menu, select Gadgets, then Gameplay Gear. Grab a score modifier and stamp one to the right of the timer. Press circle to unequip the gadget, then open the score modifier tweak menu with L1 and square. In the score name box, select the score you created to record time. Hover over the box and use the up and down directional buttons to scroll through the different scores in the scene. There should only be 2 to choose from. To record the time with the score modifier, we need the timer's tweak menu, so open it up if it isn't already. In the tweak menu, create a wire from the output of the current time slider. Extend the wire over to the score modifier tweak menu, then connect it to the input of the operation value.
Why?
Now the operation value will be set by the current time of the timer. This time the operation type can be left as set, as we don't need to add the current time to anything.
Okay.
But the update type should be changed to continuously while powered. This means the score modifier will continuously update the score with the current time.
Oh, okay, I see.
Let's test it quickly in play mode. Remember we hooked up a text displayer to the time score. So now that the time
Why did you do that?
score is being
Why
modified,
did you do
we can
that?
see it on screen.
Lady, we are so far in and you didn't tell me that this would only go up.
Let's take a look. To record the time, we can use a timer. Go to the assembly menu, then way to use a score. Stamp it down underneath the score. Having a score has really upped the game's replay. Stamp it down underneath this score. Just like with the first score gadget, we also want to post the score at the finish line. So connect the detected output of the finish line to the post score input. As this is going to record time, we also need to tweak the default scoreboard settings. They can be found on the second page of the menu. First, change the score unit to time. We also need to change the scoreboard order. When ranking times, the lowest scores should be at the top. So select the option for lower, then move the tweak menu to one side. To see the time on screen, we'll need another number displayer. But there's no need to set up a new one from scratch. Just clone the one we made earlier. That way the appearance will match. Clone the number displayer with L1 and R2. Place it next to the time score gadget. To display time, we need to connect the current score to the number displayer input, just like we did before. In the Score Tweak menu, create a wire from the current score output port. Connect the wire to the number range input.
Wait, what did you do there?
Connect the wire to the number range input on the number displayer.
Okay.
Once that's hooked up, you can close the tweak menu of the score and open up the tweak menu for the cloned number displayer. As this number displayer is showing time, we need to tweak it slightly. In display format, select the clock icon to display time.
It is.
The option Show
It
milliseconds is now selectable. Turn it on to make the time display even more precise. Use the options on the alignment page
Lady.
of the tweak menu to set the position of the number displayer. The collectible count is in the middle, so how about at the top, on the right? Select the score number displayer with X if you want to preview them on screen together. Looks good. In the next step, we'll create some logic to record the time.
Lady, that's not a timer!
To record the time, we can use the auto lives line Tiger Zone. The zone into auto line and Tiger Zone's detected port. Ooh. Let's take a look at the timer's tweak menu. Open it up with L1 and square. The timer requires a target time, but we don't want a time limit to complete the scene. So below the time gadgets and stamp one to the right of the timer. Select the score you created to record time. Hover over the box and use the up and down directional buttons to scroll through the different scores in the scene. There should only be 2 to choose from. To record the time with the score modifier, we need the timer's tweak menu, so open it up if it isn't already. In the tweak menu, create a wire from the output of the current time slider. Extend the wire over to the score modifier tweak menu, then connect it to the input of the operation value. Now the operation value will be set by the current time of the timer. This time the operation type can be left as set, as we don't need to add the current time to anything. But the update type should be changed to continuously while powered. This means the score mod. Remember we hooked up a text displayer to the time score. So now that the time score is being modified,
Mine's not
we
doing
can see
that.
it on screen.
No, it's not. Oh, I'm mad. Because I don't know what I did wrong. I did everything you did. What did I do wrong? You said I could copy this.
Let's
Lady.
take a look at high enough. The timer asks the time as a score. To record gadget and scroll. To record the time with the score modifier.
I don't have that.
We need the timer's tweak menu, so open it up if it isn't already. In the tweak menu, create a wire from the output of the current time slider. Extend the wire over to the score modifier tweak menu, then connect it to the input of the operation value. Now the operation value will be set by the current time of the timer. This time the operation type can be left as set, as we don't need to add the current time to anything.
How did you set it to time?
But the update...
Ugh!
Select the score you created to record time. Hover over the box and use the up and down directional buttons to scroll through the different scores in the scene. There should only be 2 to choose from. To record the time with the score modifier, we need the timer's tweak menu, so open it up if it isn't already. In the tweak menu, create a wire from the output of the current time slider. Extend the wire over to the score modifier tweak menu, then connect it to the input of the operation value. Now the operation value will be set by the current time of
Sorry, I was doing something.
timer.
I don't have the time option, lady. I don't know what you're talking about.
We don't need to add the current time to anything. But the update type should be changed to continuously while powered. This means the score modifier will continuously update the score with the current time. Let's test it quickly in play mode. Remember we hooked up a text displayer to the time score.
Lady.
So now that the time score is being modified, we can see
Oh my god. No, it's not. I don't know what.
The only problem is that the time doesn't stop when Connie crosses the finish. So we'll fix that in the final step.
I'm not even.
So now that the time score is
going for me.
modified, we can see it on screen.
I don't want to redo all of this. I don't even need to necessarily be learning this because I'm not doing a time section. What else are you going to be teaching me? Okay. What the hell, lady? This does that. Do this and it will do that. I did that and it didn't do that. I want to punch you. Okay. I'm joking.
Here we are, deep in the logic department of the Dreams Workshop. I've been conducting some experiments with selectors and exclusive gates. Cuthbert can never make his mind up, so learning these should help. Oh, Cuthbert, what a mess. This is an advanced tutorial, so I hope you've already learned the basics of creating logic.
Yep.
Selectors and exclusive gates are used for choosing different options in logic. The simpler of the two is the selector, so we'll look at that first.
Camera.
In front of Connie is a rotatable bridge, alongside a button that opens the door on the next platform.
Put the camera.
These arrows are grabbable by the imp. We'll use them to control the selector. Open up the microchip next to Connie. Wow, that's a lot of gadgets. But if we take a closer look, it's actually quite simple.
What are these?
There's 3 grab sensors
Oh,
on the
keyframes.
left. We can tell by the hand icon. The grab sensors detect when the arrow buttons are grabbed by the imp. If you hover over them, you'll be able to see which button they control. On the right, there's 4 keyframes that store the rotational position of the bridge. Try selecting them and you'll see what I mean. If you select more than one at a time, their effects will average out. You can use the circle button to deselect. To connect the 3 grab sensors to the 4 positional keyframes, we're going to use a selector. In the assembly menu, select Gadgets, then open Logic and Processing. Find the selector, then select it with X. Stamp one in the center of the microchip canvas, between the grab sensors to the left and the position keyframes to the right. Then unequip the gadget with circle. In the next step, we'll set up the selector. Right, let's focus on the selector. The selector uses input signals to switch between different outputs. Open its tweak menu with L1 and square. The slider sets the number of options the selector can choose from. There are 4 positions for the bridge, so increase the slider to 4. Close the tweak menu with L1 and circle. The selector is much bigger now with lots more ports. On the right edge of the selector, there's 4 output ports. Create wires on the output ports with R2 or X and connect a keyframe to each one. Make sure you keep the keyframes in order.
Lady, you're gonna
Now we
blow
have
my
4
mind.
outcomes for the selector to choose from. But how do we switch between them? On the bottom left of the selector, you'll find 2 input ports that don't have a letter icon. They are Move to Next output and Move to Previous output. These inputs will make the selector switch between the connected keyframes in sequence. We just need to connect them to the grab sensors for the arrow buttons. Create a wire from the grabbed output of the grab sensor that controls the right arrow. Connect it to the selector's input port for Move to Next output. If you're getting confused by all these inputs and outputs, just remember, left side of the gadget is inputs, right side is outputs. Now do the same for the left arrow grab sensor and the Move to Previous output port. We still need to connect the up arrow's grab sensor. Why don't we use it to reset the bridge? You can directly select outputs by connecting to the corresponding input. Create a wire from the grabbed output of the up arrow grab sensor. Then connect it directly to the A input on the selector. This means that if you grab the up arrow, it will return the bridge to point at the door, regardless of its current position. Now switch over to play mode to try out the controls. Use the arrow buttons to rotate the bridge so Connie can reach the button. Don't try and rotate the bridge with Connie on it though. She's only safe when she's on the blue circle in the middle. Once the door is open and she's back on the blue circle, grab the up arrow button to return the bridge back to its starting position. When Connie is across the bridge,
I hate your
return to edit
tutorials
mode
so
and
much.
start the next.
What are you talking about? I did everything you said. I hate you. Oh my god. Ugh. You make one simple mistake. That's...
Reset the bridge. You can directly select outputs by connecting to the key to the A, regardless of its current position. The next obstacle looks complicated, but is really just a glamorous randomizer. There are 3 trapdoors for Connie to get across. Above each trapdoor is a microchip containing some simple logic. Open up all 3 with L1 and X. Now click R3 to play time. Notice how the trigger zones detect the balls and open the trapdoors. It looks hectic. It'll be very difficult to get Connie across, if not impossible. Give it a try in play mode if you want to, but whether you manage to cross or not, it's clearly too difficult. By adding some exclusive gates to the logic, we can make this obstacle a bit fairer, while still being challenging. Exclusive gate gadgets just take
I don't even know you
signal
did
and pass
this.
it on. But when you have more than one exclusive gate in a scene, only one of them can be active at a time. So if we add exclusive gates to the trapdoors, then only one trapdoor can be open at a time. Which means that Connie will always have a chance of getting across. Pause the scene with R3 and make sure all 3 trapdoor microchips are open. Then head into the assembly menu. The exclusive gate gadget is found in the logic and processing menu. Its icon looks like a garden gate. Select it with X. Stamp an exclusive gate into each of the microchips between the trigger zone and the other gadgets.
Boop. Okay.
Unequip your imp with circle, then delete all the wires coming from the 3 trigger zones. In the next
Wait, what
step,
do you mean?
we'll connect the exclusive gates to the logic.
Okay.
Let's take a closer look at the ports on the exclusive gate. There's a gate input and a gate output port.
Not gay. Okay.
These
Not
ports simply
gay.
pass through a signal without changing it. But only if the gate is open, and only one gate can be open at a time. Connect the detected port of the trigger zone to the gate input port of the exclusive gate. The trapdoor has 2 possible positions, open and closed, which is set by the 2 keyframes. But the closed door keyframe is connected via a NOT gate. NOT gates are shifty little gadgets. They do the opposite of what most gadgets do, because they're active when they're not receiving a signal. So when there is not a signal from the exclusive gate, the closed door keyframe gets activated. So to complete the logic, connect wires from the gate output port and plug them into the open door keyframe and the NOT gate. When the exclusive gate is sending a signal, the open door keyframe becomes active, and when it is not sending a signal, the closed door keyframe is active. Now connect up the exclusive gate the same way as in the other 2 microchips. Each exclusive gate will open only if no other gates are open already. This will stop more than one trapdoor opening at once. Click R3 to start time and see how the exclusive gates work. That should make things a bit easier for you to get
I'm mad at
Connie
you.
across
You
to the
didn't
next
tell me about
platform.
this.
Try it out in play mode. Once Connie is across, return to edit mode. Click R3 to start time. And see how the
I saw that.
gates work.
Trying to hide stuff from me.
That should make things a bit easier for you to get Connie across to the next platform. Try it out.
Oh, I see. Wait, close that. Get out of there. Where's my imp? There he is. No! Oh! Whoa, I beat the level, guy. No! What the fuck just happened? Okay. No! Oh my god. I liked it more when they were coming at rapid speeds. Damn it. No! Oh my god. Yes. That's interesting. Okay.
In the previous challenge, the exclusive gates were fairly simple. But did you know that you can give exclusive gates priorities? Exclusive gates with a higher priority will override ones with a lower priority. This makes the exclusive gate work like a more sophisticated selector.
Okay.
We're going to use exclusive gates to make a timing mechanic to lower
Ah,
the final
comment
bridge.
works. Comment, it's working.
Above the meter, there's a microchip. Open it up and we'll take a look at what's going on.
No.
Notice that the logic branches from the trigger zone to two different outcomes. One branch goes to a timeline, the other to a keyframe. Take a look at the timeline first. Open up the
Yes, you
timeline
did.
canvas with L1 and X. On the top two rows of the timeline, there are keyframes that animate the meter.
Okay, this is how you're gonna do animations for your characters, okay.
Select them with X to preview them. The meter is just a timing guide for the player. When the button lights up, it's time to hit square. On the bottom row, there's a keyframe to keep the bridge upright.
Okay.
It ends just before the square button keyframe activates.
Comment working, I think.
If you take a look at the controller sensor, you'll see the square button output is connected to another keyframe. This keyframe lowers the bridge, allowing Connie to cross. So to lower the bridge, you have
I
to switch
see.
from the timeline
You connected this to
the
square.
bridge down keyframe.
That's awesome.
But there's a problem. Both branches of the logic go through an exclusive gate. Open up
Really?
the gate's tweak menus and take a look at their priorities.
What's in here? What did you do
The
here?
gate to the timeline has a higher priority than the gate that lowers the bridge. This means that no matter what, it will override the exclusive.
Ola comments Kava. So comment is how it's how. I don't know.
Gate that's attached to the controller sensor and the keyframe. To
going
lower
good,
the
I'm
bridge,
just learning
we
about
need
this
to
stuff.
change the priority of the second exclusive gate, but only when the player hits square with the right timing. We'll do all this with one keyframe. When you're ready, move on to the next step.
Okay.
The timeline's exclusive gate has a higher priority than the one connected to the bridge down keyframe. So there's no way for the bridge down keyframe to be activated. We need to raise the priority of the second exclusive gate, but only when square is pressed with the right timing. We can achieve this by adding another keyframe that modifies
Or just
the
make it 11.
exclusive gate.
But okay.
Go to the
Or do it your
animation
way.
menu and select the keyframe. Stamp one onto the third row of the timeline. immediately after the long bridge up keyframe. As soon as you place it, the keyframe will start recording. While it's recording, go into the tweak menu of the exclusive gate connected to the bridge down keyframe.
What the fuck? Stop talking! Fuck, I fast forwarded it. Okay, there we go.
In the previous challenge, the exclusive gates were fairly simple.
No.
So there's no way for the bridge, but as soon as you place it, the keyframe will start recording. While it's recording, go into the tweak menu of the exclusive gate connected to the bridge down keyframe. Increase its priority to 12, so it's 1 higher than the other gate's priority. When you're done, select Stop Recording in the context menu to store the changes to the keyframe. So now we have an exclusive gate that is priority 10, but can change to be...
You said comment. Comment Sava. That's you said comment. Right there. Right there. No, I didn't tell you to go back.
So there's no... As soon as you place it, the keyframe exclusive gate connected to the bridge, though it's one text menu, though it's 1 higher than the other gate's priority.
Okay.
When you're done,
but what?
select Stop Recording in the context menu to store the changes to the keyframe. So now we have an exclusive gate that is priority 10, but can change to be priority 12.
That's stupid.
The keyframe is very short at the moment, so hover over it and hold the up directional button until it fills up the end of the
You didn't
timeline.
say, I hate this tutorial lady. You didn't say put it right there. You said put it right afterwards. Not right there. I hate you. I hate you.
Now open the keyframe tweak menu with L1 and square. Once activated, we need the keyframe's effects to be permanent. So select the Keep Changes option in the tweak menu.
I'm saying I hate this tutorial lady. She tells you to do one thing and then she's like that one teacher that tells you to do something and then you do it and she's like, nope, I told you to do this. No, you didn't. You said put it right after.
Now, once the bridge is down, it'll stay put. Close the tweak menu with L1 and circle. This keyframe will be active for half a second when the meter is full. Enough time to hit square and lower the bridge.
Uh-huh.
But look, there's another wire going from the square button output of the controller sensor.
There's more.
This wire closes the upper gate, preventing players from button mashing to cheat the timing. If you press square before you're supposed to, the exclusive gate will close briefly, causing the timeline to reset.
Ooh, you can use that for QTEs. Okay, quick time events right there. I'm taking a picture.
Universe, so make sure you haven't left exploits in your logic.
In your logic.
Time to try out the scene in
like
play
your
mode.
explanations.
If anything's going awry, try following the steps again to see where you went wrong.
I'm gonna be mad. Cool.
Once Connie can reach
Yay!
the final platform, breathe a sigh of relief. You've completed this tutorial.
Cool. So now I know how to do QTEs, kinda. Yeah, maybe.
And what's QTEs again?
Quick time events.
What?
Quick time events. You know, like when you were playing Naruto Storm 4 and it's like push square, square, triangle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
that.
I definitely want those.
A lot of people hate QTEs, but I love them.
Yeah. I mean, get so freaking depth into the
Oh dear.
cinematic battle.
It looks
scene.
like
Only if they're
Cuthbert
done
is
right, because
really
I've seen them
stuck this
be
time.
done poorly.
In previous tutorials, You've edited the
Like, if
scene
you
to
look
help
at,
Connie
God
reach
of War
Cuthbert.
or Naruto.
But this time,
Freaking
you'll be editing
Bleach.
Connie herself,
Fuck you.
supercharging her with some
How are you gonna
new
make your avatar
abilities
for your game?
to
Well, that's
get
what I'm
past the
learning right now.
obstacles
I
in
gotta
the
learn
city.
all this stuff before I can even work on my
Bear in
character.
mind that this is a complex tutorial
Avatar.
in which it's easy to make a mistake.
Like your main character?
My main character. Yeah.
If you do, remember to use the
I'm
left
kind of up in
directional
the air
button
about
to undo.
getting to my main.
Now go into play mode and see how far you can
See
get.
how far you can get. Not that far, because you can't
Possess
jump,
Connie
because your
with
character's
R2
stupid.
and press
Did you see
the
this
X
in my
button
homeroom?
to jump.
No.
Oops, she
Ooh, that's
can't
nice.
even get over the first obstacle.
Oh. Wow, he
So
sounds
let's
really
start by
disappointed.
souping up her
You
jump
can't
height.
even get over the foot.
Switch back to edit mode and we'll get
Stupid.
started. This is a puppet tweak menu. As you can see, it's jam-packed with different options.
Okay.
Thankfully, the setting we want is on the first page.
You're talking about jump height,
All
aren't you?
these settings control Connie's overall movement. We could make Connie run super fast or super slow. But nah, that's not gonna help her. A nice high jump is what we need.
This guy's voice is
What do we
great.
have here?
Nah, we're not gonna help her.
This slider controls Connie's jump height. Hover
Yep.
over it with your imp and hold X to grab it. Move
What are
your
you gonna
imp
make
to
it?
adjust the slider to around 3 meters. That should be enough to get over that stack of blocks.
Okay.
The puppet tweak menu also has some really useful testing controls.
Okay.
Click R3 to start time, and Connie will come to life. See what happens now if you hover your imp over the jump height slider. You can preview the jump, so you can get it to the perfect height
Yeah, that's awesome.
without having to test it in play mode.
I like this guy way
Actually,
more.
I think you should dial it back to 2.5 meters, or she might overshoot the jump. You can make small adjustments to sliders by using
Wait,
the up
what?
and down directional buttons. Hover over the slider
Oh.
and use the down directional button to adjust the setting. Feel free to explore some of the other settings in the menu. If you're
Okay.
not sure what a button or
That's how you
slider
do the
does,
gravity thing.
just hover over it for a few
Figure it out.
seconds and a more info tip will pop up to explain.
Cool.
And even adjust the strength of gravity on her
We're
jump.
learning, people.
Turn it
We're
down a
learning.
bit to make her jump more floaty.
Make them more floaty.
When you've got Connie's jump the way
What did you
want
make it?
give it a test
No, what did you make it?
jump. Turn it down a bit to make her
Make
jump
it a
more
bit
floaty.
more floaty. You made it 1-1-1. Okay. One, 1-1.
When you've got Connie's jump the way you want it, give it a test run in play mode.
Cool. That's why you're way better. Woo!
Well, that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, Connie's
That
new
was pretty
jumping
cool.
skills aren't going to be much use on the next obstacle. And don't even think about making her jump over the top, because that force field will zap her in a second.
Oh, that'll kill her. I
Instead,
see.
let's give Connie the power to crouch. I bet she's always dreamed of it. If you're still in
Yeah,
play
you look
mode,
like a croucher.
switch back to edit mode now. Rewind time with L3 to put Connie back at the start. To give her a crouch, we need to scope into her. Puppets are made up of sculptures,
We need to
connectors,
scope into
and
her.
gadgets that are grouped together. Hover over Connie, press and hold L1, then press X to scope in. When
Oh,
you've
you mean
scoped
that.
into a puppet, you can see its inner workings.
I see.
On Connie's back, there's a microchip
This
gadget.
title's Connie's
It's called
brain.
Connie's brain, and it contains all her logic and animations.
Jesus.
Let's take a look inside.
What are these?
Hold L1 and press X over it to scope in and open the microchip
Wow.
canvas.
What's that?
There's quite a lot going on in here. The gadget I want you to look at is this one in the bottom right corner with the diamond icon. This is a keyframe gadget.
They too
If
have
you've
more
played through the
enthusiasm.
Keyframes and Timelines tutorial, you'll already know all about these.
Yes, they do.
Keyframes
I know you.
record
I know you meant
changes
do.
to things in the scene. They store those changes in a gadget, which can be triggered using logic.
Using logic.
This keyframe contains a crouching pose for Connie.
I love this.
Select the keyframe with X,
This
and
is
you'll see a
everything.
preview of how it looks. Those dashed lines over Connie show that she's being changed by the keyframe.
But we need to
Press
activate it.
circle
There's
to
nothing to
deselect
activate
the
it.
keyframe, and she goes back to normal.
Whoa!
To be able to activate the crouch keyframe, we need to connect
They
it to
need to
Connie's
have more
controller
enthusiasm.
sensor.
They're not as
Then you'll be
annoying as
able
other
to make her
tutorials.
crouch with a controller button. In the next step, I'll show you how to
Nope,
do
you're gonna make
exactly
me
that.
control it with circle. Watch this. Whoa! Wait a minute. Yeah, watch this. I don't even need to watch it. Oh wait, never mind. Ah, I see why it can't be circle, because then I'll depossess it. Alright, let's see what he's gonna say then. That's smart.
To activate the crouch, we're going to connect it to Connie's controller sensor. If you've closed her microchip,
Whoops, hang on.
scope back into her, and then scope into the microchip to open it up again. The controller sensor is the large gadget on Connie's microchip. It has a controller icon on it. Open up its tweak menu with L1 and square.
You mean like this?
While
No, get
you
out of
have
here,
a
I didn't.
microchip and a tweak menu open, you may need to arrange them on the screen. Make sure that the controller sensor and its tweak menu stay to the left. This is because they generate signals, and signals flow through gadgets from left to right in Dreams.
I
You know
love
how you
that.
can rotate
You can also
objects
save the
using
3D
remote sculpting?
I'm doing a tutorial right now, but what?
Yeah, I was saying that freaking you can rotate stuff when you sculpt.
It is nice though.
base position of tweak menus and microchips, or pin them to the screen, using the buttons that appear at the top when hovering over the canvas. This will help you keep them tidy while you're editing logic, which is very important as it's easy to make mistakes. Now, let's take a closer look at that controller sensor.
Did you click? What did you click?
This will help you keep them tidy while you're editing logic, which is very important as it's easy to make mistakes. Now, let's take a closer look at that controller sensor.
The only reason I don't want to put it there is because your thing's in the way.
Buttons. Just what we need. All playable characters contain a controller sensor gadget like this one. But the gadget can also be used for any situation where you want to detect button presses.
Okay.
To assign our keyframe to a button, we just need to wire it to the controller sensor. We won't use the circle button as that depossesses Connie.
Yeah, I know.
And X makes
I know.
her jump. So how about the square button to crouch? Make sure you can see the keyframe on the microchip. Move the tweak menu with R2 if you need to.
Cool.
If you hover over the square button in the controller sensor menu, be very precise for the next part, as it's easy to make a mistake. Carefully hover your imp over the output port of the square button, and press X to create a wire. Gadget with your crouch move is all wired up, close the controller sensor tweak menu. Hover over it, hold L1, then press circle to close. Now try out Connie's new crouch in play
In
mode.
play mode.
See if she can make it under the second obstacle.
Whoa! Yep.
When you're
Cool.
ready to continue, go back to edit mode. Rewind time with
That's
L3
adorable.
and start the next step. Right, we're on to the final obstacle. There's no way around it, but it looks destructible. So
We're gonna make her
make
attack.
a slam attack for Connie so that she
Yeah, we
can
are.
smash through it. We'll start by recording a pose for the slam. We can do this using a keyframe. Scope back into Connie and open up her microchip if it isn't already open. If you've played my keyframes and timelines tutorial, you'll have a bit of a head start on this next part. Go to the Assembly menu and open the Animate menu. Select the keyframe with X. You'll now have a keyframe gadget on your imp. Stamp it somewhere in the scene with R2 or X. The keyframe records changes you make to objects and settings in the scene. It starts recording as soon as you stamp it. You can tell it's recording because your imp will change shape and color. Now
Oh jeez, you're right.
grab Connie's upper body with R2 and drag it gently down to the floor. Because we're scoped into her, we can move her body parts individually to create a pose. If we weren't scoped in, we'd move Connie's whole body. Notice that her knees automatically bend.
Okay.
Make sure her cone is all the way down to the floor so that you can't see her legs. Keyframes can record changes to anything, even tweak menu settings. So, just for visual flair, let's also make her glow. Hover over Connie's cone, hold L1 and press square to open its tweak menu. Because we're scoped in, this opens the tweak menu for the sculpture itself, rather than the puppet. All the settings on this page change the way Connie's cone looks.
That's amazing.
Look for the glow slider on the first page. Its icon is a sun. Raise the glow up to about 40%. Once you've set
I'm gonna do 100.
select stop recording in the context menu to store the changes to the keyframe. You can close the tweak menu now too. Just hover over it, hold L1 and press circle. Select the keyframe gadget with X to preview what's being recorded. Looks good. Deselect the keyframe by pressing circle. In the next step, we'll continue building Connie's slam attack.
Okay, so if I go into play mode. Well, you didn't tell me what button to... Well, okay, fine.
The next step is to place our new Connie animation into a timeline.
And a button.
Using a timeline will let us time the animations and effects of the slam attack. Go to the Assembly menu and back to the Animate menu.
Okay.
Select the timeline
this?
with X.
Yep, that's a timeline.
Hover over Connie's microchip and stamp a timeline above the crouch keyframe. Now let's open the timeline canvas with L1 and X. The slam attack should be a really quick animation. So adjust the canvas so it's only 1 second long.
Animation.
Any longer and it won't feel snappy enough. Hover over the edge of the timeline canvas so that a white line appears along it. You'll also see a white double-ended arrow appear next to the edge by your imp.
Okay. Alright.
When you see this, grab the edge of the canvas with X. Move your imp to shorten the timeline to 1 second. Make sure you don't select the trim button by mistake. It's a square button by the numbers at the top of the timeline. It has a black arrow on it. The timeline duration is now correct, but the space is very small. So let's zoom in a bit. Hover your imp over the
keeps
timeline
glitching out.
canvas. Hold
Please
L1.
Stop. My controller's glitching out. Stop! Oh my lord.
And press the right directional button to zoom in. This will keep the timeline duration to 1 second long, but stretch the space so that you can fit more detail into it. If you need to zoom out, just hold L1. Hover your imp over the timeline canvas, hold L1 and press the right directional button to zoom in. This will keep the timeline duration to 1 second long, but stretch the space so that you can fit more detail into it.
Okay.
If you need to zoom out, just hold L1 and press the left directional button.
Oh, this is all just for 1 second.
Now let's put our slam attack keyframe onto the timeline. Grab the keyframe with R2 and place it at the start of the timeline canvas.
That's all
Make
for
sure
1
you've
second?
got the slam keyframe and not the crouch one. The gadget automatically snaps to the surface of the canvas. The keyframe is only a fraction of a second long at the moment, but we need it to fill the length of the timeline. So hover over the keyframe and hold the up directional button to scale it. Make it the same length as the timeline.
Wait a minute. I think I messed something up. Crap. He said hook it up to the, not the crouch button, but the charge attack. I think I made them the same buttons. We need to go back.
Right.
Why are you doing
We're
that?
on to the final
My
obstacle.
controller keeps drifting.
There's no way around it,
Watch
but
this.
it looks destructible. So we're gonna make a slam attack for Connie so that she can smash through it. We'll start by recording a pose for the slam.
Oh my God.
We can do
Keeps
this
going left.
using a keyframe. Scope back into Connie and open up her microchip if it isn't already open. You'll now have... The keyframe records changes you make to objects and settings in the scene. It starts recording as soon as you stamp it. You can tell it's recording because your imp will change shape and colour. Now that we're recording, grab Connie's upper body with R2 and drag it gently down to the floor. Because we're scoped into her, we can move her body parts individually to create a pose. If we weren't scoped in, we'd move Connie's whole so that you can't see her legs. Keyframes can record changes to any or D. Grab Connie's upper body with R2 and drag it gently down to the floor. Because we're scoped into her, we can move her body parts individually.
I'm confused because
to create a pose.
create a pose. But then when I click on her,
If we weren't scoped in, we'd move Connie's whole body. Notice that her knees automatically bend. Make sure her cone is all the way down to the floor so that you
Oh, I
can't
see.
see her legs. Keyframes can record changes to anything, even tweak menu settings. So, just for visual flair, let's also make her glow. Hover over Connie's cone, hold L1 and press square to open its tweak menu. Because we're scoped in, this opens the tweak menu for the sculpture itself, rather than the puppet. All the settings on this page change the way Connie's
Confusion.
cone looks.
confused.
Look for the glow.
I'm confused on what I did wrong. What the hell?
You'll now have a keyframe gadget on your imp. Stamp as you stamp it. You can tell it's recording because your imp will change shape and colour. Now that we're recording, grab Connie's upper body with R2 and drag it gently down to the floor. Because we're scoped into her, we can move her body parts individually to create a pose. If we weren't scoped in, we'd move Connie's whole body. Notice that her knees automatically bend. Make sure her cone is all the way down to the floor so that you can't see her legs. Keyframes can record changes to anything, even tweak menu settings. So, just for visual flair, let's also make her glow. Hover over Connie's core.
No. What is going on?
We can do this using a keyframe. Scope back into Connie and So we're going to
starting from the
make
very
a slam
beginning.
attack for Connie so that
What
she
the
can
hell?
smash through it. We'll start by recording a pose for the slam. We can do this using a keyframe. Scope back into Connie and open up her microchip if it isn't already open.
Why weren't you there before? It's because I had to
If you've
open
played
it?
my keyframes and timelines tutorial, you'll have a bit of a head start on this next part. Go to
So
the
it hides
assembly menu
itself.
and open the animate menu.
I didn't
Select
know
the
it hides
keyframe with
itself. Okay, that
X.
would have...
You'll
I wouldn't
now
have
have a
wasted so much
keyframe
time if I
gadget
knew
on
that.
your imp. Stamp it somewhere in the scene with R2 or X.
Okay.
The keyframe records changes you see, or so L1 self rather than the puppet, or the percent to store the changes to the keyframe. The next step is to place our new Connie animation into a timeline. Using a timeline will let us time the animations and effects of the slam attack. Go to the assembly menu and back to the animate menu. Select the timeline that feels snappy enough. Hover over the edge of the timeline canvas so that a white line appears along it. You'll also see a don't select hop. If you need to zoom out, just hold L1 and press the left directional button. Start of the timeline canvas. Now let's put our slam attack keyframe onto the timeline.
Onto the timeline, okay.
Grab the keyframe with R2 and place it at the start of the timeline canvas. Make sure you've got the slam keyframe and not the crouch one. The gadget automatically snaps to the surface of the canvas. The keyframe is only a fraction of a second long at the moment, but we need it to fill the length of the timeline. So hover over the keyframe and hold the up directional button to scale it. Make it the same length as the timeline. Now we want to wire the timeline up to a button press, just like we did with the crouch.
Okay.
Move the timeline canvas so that you can see the controller sensor and the timeline gadget. Open the controller sensor tweak menu with L1 and square. I'm going to use L1 as the slam attack button. Hover over the output port of the L1 button and press X to create a wire. Stretch the wire down to the timeline gadget and connect it to the power port on the bottom.
Why are you still in my face? Confusion. L1? Yeah, L1. Oh, I need to turn you around real quick. There you go. Now,
Double-ended. Hover your imp over the start of the like we did with the pack button. Hover over the output port of the L1 button and press X to create a wire.
okay, did that.
Stretch the wire down to the timeline gadget and connect it to the power port on the bottom. You can now
I
use
see.
the L1 button to perform Connie's slam attack. Give it a try in play mode.
I see.
At
Move
the
out of the
moment,
way!
it's just an animation.
And there's so much
it's
stuff
not
that's on
gonna
your
do
screen in
anything to
tutorials.
the blocks. But in the next step, I'll show you how to add some force to it. When you're ready to continue, return to edit mode, rewind time, and start the next step.
Okay. So I understand keyframes now with the timers. Oh my god, I didn't even know she moves when I do that. Oh. Okay, close all of this. This is so much information. You too. No.
The slam attack animation is all set up, but it's not doing much besides looking cool. So we need to add a gadget to our timeline that will emit a force when Connie slams the ground. The gadget we're going to use for this is the force applier. Go to the assembly menu and open the gadgets menu.
Force
Find the
applier.
move as an output menu and open it with X. The icon for the force applier looks like a gust of wind. Select it with X to equip it to your imp. I hope you've still got the timeline open. If not, open it with L1 and X.
I do.
Stamp the force
got
applier onto the timeline canvas below the keyframe. Press circle to unequip the force applier from your imp. The force applier isn't very strong by default, so we'll need to tweak it.
Let me guess.
To open its tweak menu, hover over the gadget, hold L1 and press square.
And press square.
At the top of the tweak menu
It's
is
so
the
much
force
information.
strength slider. Its icon is a beefy arm.
Beefy
Drag it all the way
arm.
up to 100% using your imp.
Okay.
That will ensure the force emitted will overcome the gravity in the scene and the friction between the blocks. Next, increase the force speed to 10 meters per second. That will give the slam attack some punch. If you take a look at Connie, you'll see a green zone around her.
Yeah.
Anything in this zone will be affected by the force applier.
We'll die.
At the moment, the zone isn't much bigger than Connie. Hover your imp over the zone and arrow gizmos will appear. Grab them with R2 and move your imp to change the size of the zone. Or you can scale the zone more precisely in the force applier tweak menu.
Freaking
Go to the
explosion.
tab called zone size.
Okay. I know
Grab
about
the
this
zone
one, but I
size
think I'll just
slider
grab
with
it.
X and set it to about 3.5 meters.
Fine.
Okay, let's test out Connie's new powers. Switch over to play mode. Possess Connie and give her new slam attack a try. Oops! Looks like it's more power than Connie can handle. The force applier is pushing her off the platform.
I could just beat the level like this. Watch this.
Rewind time. In the final step,
No,
I'll
I
show you how
can't.
to tweak the force applier so that it only affects the objects
I
we
can't.
want it to. Oops. Looks like it's more power than Connie can handle. The force applier is pushing her off the platform. Switch back to edit mode and rewind time. In the final
Okay.
to prevent the force applier from pushing Connie off the platforms, we're going to use labels.
Yeah, but what are these?
Labels can be given to any object in the scene, and gadgets like the force applier can detect
Oh, is
them.
that what these are?
In the
I
force
was just
applier
wondering
tweak
what these
menu,
are.
Go to the Labels tab. By default, it will detect
For
all
what?
labels.
Wait.
And detect
Where did
them.
you touch?
To prevent the force applier from pushing Connie off the platforms, we're going to use labels.
Oh, you just moved it over here.
Labels can be given to any object in the scene, and gadgets like the force applier can detect them.
Okay.
In the force applier tweak menu, go to the Labels tab.
Labels
By
tab.
default, it will detect all labels. There are labels for all sorts of objects: foes, scenery, targets. The friend label is used for playable characters like Connie or friendly characters like Cuthbert. So if we deselect it, the force applier will no longer affect Connie. Hover over the friend button and press X to deselect it. It's the button with the heart icon. Now Connie should be able to blast through the blocks without firing herself off into space. Use her new skills to pass all the obstacles. And you can use your new skills to create.
Can I just kill everything now?
Scenes. When
Move!
you've successfully rescued Cuthbert, go through the door to
That was
finish this.
that was anticlimax. Move. Move elevator. That's cool. So I can make sure that it won't affect Sasha in my game. Cool. It's amazing. Keyframes and stuff. Appreciation. Like, look at this little fart. Look at this little fart. I'm gonna be making a character like this soon. Alright. Start dreaming. Okay, we got most of the logic. We got the character creation. What about animation? Audio. And we still got a lot of gameplay too. Man, there's so much we gotta like. Almost. And then we can start making our game. We're almost there. Alright, animation.
It looks like Cuthbert is in a spot of bother.
Yeah.
Connie needs our help to get across these platforms so she can rescue Cuthbert. So how about we add a little handmade animation to get her there? You don't need to go into play mode to see that Connie won't be able to make this jump. So let's animate that floating ledge down to her using an action recorder.
Okay.
Action recorders are super easy to use. Just stamp one in your scene, and it will record anything you move with the imp. And we mean anything.
Ooh, I'm going down.
Moving or tweaking gadgets.
Ooh, I'm going back
Better
up.
get going. Connie's getting really impatient. You know what cones are like.
That's
Go
perfect.
to the assembly menu. Press the square button if it's not already open.
Ooh, here it
Then head
goes.
to the animate menu.
Oh, perfect. I love this
The
already.
animate icon is
Oh,
a
no, no.
that thing they use in movies before the director says action. Now
That's amazing. I'm recording that.
gadgets to animate objects. Select the action recorder, the icon with a film strip and a plus sign on it.
Okay.
You'll now have an action recorder gadget on your imp. Stamp it down somewhere near the floating ledge. A progress bar
Sorry, I'm
will
a
appear at the
baby.
top of the screen, along with a record button on the right.
Oh, thank you.
Also, your imp will turn red. This means you're ready to start recording. Don't worry,
Can I just beat the whole level?
recording won't start until you begin moving or changing things. When you're ready, grab the floating ledge with R2.
We're stealing this lady.
Move it slowly towards Connie using the motion sensor function or the sticks. You'll notice that the bar starts to fill, recording your every move. Don't worry, it's not a time limit. The bar fills up as a visual indicator of something being recorded.
Go, 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 go.
So take your time.
Go.
When you let go of R2, the recording will pause. If you move
Yeah.
your view or use the grab cam, that won't be recorded.
I did it.
But if you've started time with R3,
Uh,
recording will continue when you let go of R2.
okay.
That's why it's important to rewind or pause time before recording anything. That way, your
Fine,
action
we'll do it
recorder
legitimately.
only contains what you put into it. When you've finished recording, select the stop recording button in the context menu. Or you can use the shortcut L1 and circle button to exit the action recorder. Your imp will go back to normal to show that recording has stopped. Click R3 to play back your animation. Handmade animations are always a bit wobbly, but practice makes perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Calibrating your imp can help when using the motion sensor function. Just hold your controller in a comfortable position, then hold the options button for a few seconds. In the next step, I'll show you how to edit a recorded animation.
Well, like this. Tell me.
Anything you record is stored in the action recorder gadget. If you hover over the floating ledge, the action recorder will pulse. Select the action recorder with X, and dashed lines will appear on the objects animated with it.
Yeah?
It'll also show the animation path. That's this dashed line. If you're not happy with your animation, redoing it is easy. First, rewind time with L3. Then hover over the action recorder gadget, hold L1 and press X. Now we can start recording again. Select the retake button in the context menu to replace the old animation. Now you can record a new
Alright, let's
one.
get in a proper spot if I'm gonna do this properly and
Until it
smoothly.
stops in front of Connie. You can undo actions you perform using the left directional button, but it won't undo any time that has passed. So it's better to use the retake button to undo animations. Move the floating ledge from the upper platform down to Connie. Don't worry if the animation's too slow or too fast. We can fix that later. Make sure you press the stop recording button when you're done. Spend a little time practicing with the action recorder.
We'll go in
In
space.
the next step, I'll show you how to tweak your
Yeah?
animation.
Alright, let's see that in gameplay. Wow, look at that. So gentle. Oh, kind of droopy right there, but it's fine. Wow, we're free! Look at that. Take me back. No! Whoa! Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Oh, there it is. Where's it? Oh. It's trying to fix itself. And then it goes right back to going really slow. I'm just gonna edit the hell out of stuff and just make it freak out. Alright, show me how to edit.
Another way to edit animations is to tweak them. Hold L1
Yeah?
and press the square button over the action recorder gadget to open its tweak menu.
No!
Here you can see all the tweaks for the action recorder. By default,
Hang on, I gotta wait for it to come back. I need that.
So it plays the animation over and over again. But you can set them to play once, sustain, or to ping pong. Once will play the whole animation
Stop.
just one time. Sustain will play the animation for as long as the action recorder has power. If it loses power, it will stop. Then it will continue from that point when it's powered again. Ping pong plays the animation forward once, and then plays it in reverse. Then forward, then backwards, and so on.
No, I need that.
That sounds like a good
No, I don't want
option for
to.
a floating ledge. Select ping pong.
I don't want
with
3.
X.
I don't need 3 of them freaking
Hit
out.
R3 to start time and play the animation.
No! That's horrible. I
You can
just
also change the animation speed to make it slower
yeah, I
or
can make a
faster.
really bad roller coaster game if I wanted to.
Grab the slider with X and use your imp to change
No.
the speed.
Stop.
If you want to explore more of the action recorder tweaks, you can. If you hover over any button for a few seconds, a more info tip will explain what that tweak does. To close the tweak menu, just hold L1 and press the circle button anywhere over it.
The animation stuff seems relatively
And of
like
course,
easy.
Now that
Click
Connie's
your
made
ledge
it
to
up
make
to
a
the
way
higher
down.
platform, how will she get back down to the animation are correct direction? First, make with that base. Now
Okay.
I've played. Can now put at a 3-second the countdown. Unlike the action recorder, it records constantly. So time will be recorded even when the cube isn't moving. Walk the cuffbot around the obstacles to the final platform. Recording pauses.
Okay.
You may have noticed a possession out. Editing. Then Connie can navigate to the last platform.
Okay. This one was pretty neat. I didn't really need it though. Not for my game. Maybe in some places, but keyframes and timelines. Alright, this will help with actual animations with characters if they show me how to do it properly.
You might be able to animate wobbly platforms with the action recorder, but keyframes are where animation gets serious. Nice try, Cuthbert, but leave the dream shaping to the experts. We're going to use keyframes to animate the platform so Connie can reach the exit. A keyframe records any changes you make to an object, such as its position, tweak menu settings, or anything else you can think of.
Okay.
Then it's the menu icon sign. It's the state. Let's recorded result. Select that's right. Back to
Okay.
first platform stretched. Keyframe gap trigger zone signals and select a bit fast, don't you think? We
Don't really know if I need
better
that.
hold it aim to turn your set slot like in plane.
Also, I kind of relatively know what
It's the
keyframes are
fun in
now.
keyframe where it should be. One of the great things about keyframes is that they can affect multiple objects. So you can put the other half of the bridge back too. Then
I
select
wanna
stop
see this.
recording from the original position. I could have done a better job at the original position. So, select the keyframe with X if you want to see those changes again. This allows you to make changes to the keyframe to place, but this you're grabbing things you can
Okay.
power port. Happens when the keyframe switch just pop with this activates the let's add some okay. You can switch back to edit mode. Mate it. Gadgets is the if you grab the
This is
edges
what I'm
with
interested
X,
in.
you can extend or shorten the canvas. Try setting it to around 6 seconds. If you ever need extra space to add more things, you can also extend the bottom of the timeline. Once you're comfortable with moving and resizing the timeline canvas, move on to the next step and we'll start adding things to it.
I think I have an idea of what I'm gonna do with keyframes now in animation, but
Keyframes are great for making simple animation.
let's keep watching it.
Gadgets is the if you grab the edges with X.
Oh, I just watched this.
That's waiting. The keyframe gadget and move it over the timeline. The keyframe gadget that's waiting. The start of the time. This one to record the block's second mark is timeline playing the gadget second will blend the by making all the key.
No, I got a basic idea of what I'm doing. Alright, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna start trying to make a cute little animation.
We've
Oops. Okay, you guys can look at this cute little guy while I go do something. Hey! So, fun fact, if Estelle and I work on this game nonstop, we could probably get it done in, like, maybe 4 months. I thought it was going to be, like, 2 years. From what I'm seeing, it's not gonna... Seems like it's not gonna be much of an issue. Because watch this. Oh wait, actually, we don't even need that. Okay, so I want this character to do... Let's get some thriller action in here, shall we? We wanted the... Where was it? What was it? It was a timer. But it was somewhere in the blue. Oh, it was in the anime. There you are. I was like, where are you? That's interesting. You know what, I'm just gonna make it so when I push square, he's gonna do the animation. Because I don't know how else to do that right now, but I'm just gonna add a... Put that away. I need... Trigger zone. I also need that, so I'm gonna... add the... Where was it? Where was it again? Not the... It wasn't an anime, was it? No, 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 no. I think it was puppet interface, but I know that in here there was that controller option. Where's that controller option? There you are. Hi. No, let's fuck. Like London, when there's no place like... I already have you. Why did I get you again? Oh, I got this. We're gonna organize this a little bit more. Maybe if we just do this, we're not gonna have that much of an issue. We just move everything a little bit closer. Actually, it's gonna be much better if we do it this way. Watch this. Less stuff on screen. More stuff for work. Oh! Actually, I don't even need you. Because when I touch this, and then I open that, the walking buttons... What is this connected to? What is that? What is this? Is this my imp property? Oh, it's to depossess it. Interesting. We're gonna make our square hook up to our... We're gonna move this. We're gonna make our square hook up to our timer. Because in there we're gonna have keyframes. And actually, now that I think about it, I think we don't...
Wow.
What's in here? Walk, turn to face, lean, go backwards. Outputs. Fell out of scene. I'm gonna try it without this. We'll see. I think we only need that and that. So we're gonna open this. And then we're gonna add a bunch of keyframes where we're just gonna start a little animation. Let's put 1 second. How do I dual stuff again? How do I, Is that 1 second? I don't know how to copy stuff. I don't remember. Dad, do you remember how to copy stuff when you're, like, working on it?
Yeah, it's usually L1 and R2.
I'm doing that here, and then it just...
But yeah, I haven't been able to figure out how to make it so it stretches out like they show on. I think you have to have the motion sensors.
No, you just...
Controllers.
You do this. I need to stop the recording, and then...
Oh, you grab the edges. Nice.
It's just up D-pad. But I want it to be small. Now, why are you not cloning? Maybe that's why. Okay, so I know how to clone now. That's easy.
How'd you make it stretch out though?
Up D-pad.
Up T-pad?
Yep, for keyframes that is.
Huh.
I just want to do a basic animation. I want to see this. Uh-oh. Whole model. Why is the whole model like this? When it should be stretch outable. It's not letting me stretch them out. What is going wrong here? No. I just made an arm. The keyframe is just him being up here. You know what? We might be able to work with that. But let's redo it. I want the keyframe to not be him jumping. No, I don't want that. I told you many times I do not want that.
Okay. Share play. Here we go.
I don't want you moving your head, dude. We're gonna move that back. This is gonna be very subtle. Yeah, it looks perfect. No.
I already sent you an invite. It's connecting to TFR.
Oh, I could have just mirrored it. Let's just do that.
It won't let you connect.
Cool, so if we click this... Really good, parents!
Thumper says hi.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna move these very close to each other because I want to make a very smooth animation. I want to animate the hell out of this. We're making this work. It's also quite addicting.
Yeah, this game is extremely addicting.
Go where I tell you, please.
It's
Go
cool
where I
'cause
tell you, please.
There, with the tutorial, they already have like items that you can pick
Oh
from
my
to
lord.
put into the levels that you got to do to unlock stuff.
Jesus Christ.
Like they have things where it's just fucking awesome. Hope it does. It's awesome because even like
Cool, so if we
when you
make that
put
flow, what's
stars
this?
in the atmosphere, you can actually you can push the record button, grab onto the stars, and move them around so that they'll zigzag and make it look like you're
I
going
want to
through
see if it
space
fixed.
really fast.
Jeez, can you not do that, please? So annoying.
But again, I just been off and on all day.
Why did you do that? Why did you go from that to that? These are separate. Do they have to not be touching in order to be different? That would make sense. I'm moving these. Oh, I hate my controller.
Can you hear me, Thumb?
My controller's gonna drive me mad. You don't know how many times, how many I had to fix my controller because of the motion.
Yeah. Thumper's just watching your stream right now.
He's watching my stream. What's up, Thumper? Hi. Trying to do animation right now. Guess we could do that. But we need to fix this again. Because that's so gross. We need to not... that just turn it off, or did that fix it? That just turned it off. Okay.
Yeah, there's just so much to this game. It's insane.
Excuse me? No. Go back where I say. Excuse me. Oh, now you do it? Why is this arm being so firm? Look at that. What the hell? I had to delete all that. That's annoying. It's because this motion controller, I swear. I'm gonna break the darn thing.
How's Apex been today?
Look at that. Slowly drifting to the left. What the hell? Drive me mad.
Oh my god.
All the way to the left again. Fucking drive me insane.
And the camera angles on this are pretty interesting, that's for sure.
Awesome. Okay, I got 1 second.
Maybe if I wanted to, I could make an entire level of just someone falling from the clouds. It's more like a nightmare, actually.
Is there a way to continue the motion from this one? Why is that not centered? Okay, so this will... Is this the first one or the second one? No. I want it to be the first one. What happens if I do both?
Yeah, it's a lot of just testing shit out.
Why did you reset yourself? What the fuck? No. Not both. My bad. Oh my god, you're gonna drive me insane, controller. Look at that. I am not moving my controller right now. Jesus.
Just give me a second, I will join you on Apex. They have this one feature where you can select multiple objects and then basically meld them together so you can move them all at once. And then if you want, then you can copy them. You can flip them around and about.
Okay, that looks... I want to see the kick animation for this. Let's move this right here. Just shrink it. I want to see that kick! I want to see that kick in motion.
Okay.
Your foot did not even move, dude. Why did your foot not move? I moved it. It's up. It didn't stay like that for both times. Don't tell me that. Okay, we're just gonna pretend that that foot motion happened magically. Do I have to strafe down? Is that how busted it is? It's a simple task, but my controller is making it annoying. And it's bugging me. No. You had it.
Huh. I'm level 10 now. Yay!
Jesus. I'm turning this off real quick. I won't even be able to hear what I'm doing. I gotta turn up volume on my computer. Or not my computer, my TV. Because I can't use my controller. It's pissed me off. I'm gonna fix this real quick.
I'm on my way. Hell yeah. Tomorrow's Saturday, so I'm definitely gonna be up later tonight playing this. Well, I mean, dreams as is. I just need to freaking just sit down and watch all the freaking videos they have.
This is weird. Okay, that's how you open that. need to take this off.
And I will see you in invite with an ad. Okay.
Oh, that's how you zoom stuff in and grow it? That's cool. Just stretch it. How do I undo stuff that I don't want to be done?
Okay, so I have to play this Octane. Octane and 250 damage. You also 5 knockdowns in a single match. Loot 1 more legendary helmet. Alright. I haven't played this all day, so we're gonna die. Yeah. Joints, connectors. Yes. It dreams is so insane, especially with the motion controllers, because you have one controller that's like your palette for your colors and all that, and then the other one has like all the tools in it. And with the palette, it's really cool because you can take different colors and you can put it in this one circle, and then you can spin it, and then when you build stuff, it will go throughout those colors randomly. So it will have like a almost like Arizona rock, canyon rock look to it. It's pretty cool. If you want to make a character that has a lower body as a spider, you can do that because they give you the joint option where you can make multiple joints and multiple legs on a character if you want. Who wants to take a selfie? I do. I'm all trying to move my controller around like as if I'm using my imp.
No!
I got somebody.
What the hell was I connected to?
It was they're down there. What the fuck? How did he get me? Watch out, there's another one. Here, I'll go up ahead and block him with my shield. Go behind me. He just flipped around and go to the other side. Damn it.
That open is so annoying.
Hmm? I got 3 knockdowns?
Push triangle and X
Nice.
at the same
No,
time
I
to
got 3
open.
knockdowns in that friggin' match.
That just deletes it. It's a big lie. Why is that the buttons? How am I supposed to push that? Curve my finger? Look what it's telling me to push. Triangle and X at the same time on this.
No, we can go to the harvester.